राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुनतीरा वनचारी। यमुनतीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुनतीरा वनचारी। यमुनतीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुनतीरा वनचारी। राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम राम हरे हरे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादिवा जय सुभद्रा। जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमती त्रिवेंकटेश्वरी भक्त वेदांत सांस्कृतिक की जाए। एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमती त्रिवेंकटेश्वरी भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जाए। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जाए। नमाचार्य लरदास ठाकुर की जाए। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जाए। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगामय यमुनामय की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Gauranga Shri Gopal ki jai. ओम विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण मिष्टाय पुत्र श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निराम नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवाद पाश्चात्य स्थान। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me share. Canto 1, Creation, title, verse number, chapter 2, contents of Gita, no. Chapter 2 is Divinity and Divine Service. Verse number 21. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Tat Sat. Vidyate 1.2.21 from Srimad Bhagavatam. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani društva evatmanesvare. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani društva evatmanesvare. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani društva evatmanesvare. Synonyms. Vidyate, pierce. Hridaya, heart. Granthi, knots. Chidyante, cut to pieces. Sarva, all. Samshaya, misgivings or doubts. Kshiyante, terminated. Cha, and. Asya, his. Karmani, chain of fruitive actions. Drushte, having seen. Eva, certainly. Atmani, unto the self. Isvare, dominating. Translation by Divine Grace, C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Repeat. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as a master. I'll try to understand this verse. This is the last verse of this particular section. The highest level of bhakti, the highest level of perfection has been given in this verse. Om Ajnanat Mirandasya Jnananjana Sarakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mokam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langete Girim Yat Krupa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Devatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Yasam वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वैष्णव की जय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तों की जय। So this is the 21st verse where it is mentioned about once the knot is in the heart. What exactly is the knot? We'll try to understand. Vidyate hridaya granthis. Vidyate means pierce, hridaya granthi. Hridaya means heart, we all know. Granthi means knot, granthis. Chidyante sarva samsaya, cut. Sarva samsaya means misgivings, anardas, deepest attachments, misgivings, samsayas, doubts. Chidyante sarva samsaya. Kshiyante chasya karmani. Everything gets terminated. All the accumulated sins and fruitive activities, pious, impious, everything, you name it, this life, all lives, whatever summation of all together what we have, the balance yet to be given by Lord Brahma for next life, that also everything gets wiped out. Then he will be able to see himself clearly. Društva eva atman isvare. And so he himself will be able to see, and also he will be able to see the Lord, he will be able to communicate, he will be able to, he is in the Krishna Prema, highest stage. So this is the last stage, as Rupa Goswami is explaining. For the practitioner to come to this stage, yesterday's Gita class also we are discussing, the material activities, when we are contemplating, we are on the material activities. The opposite side of that contemplation is on the spiritual activities. It's completely opposite, which is the Adav Shraddha, Sadhakana, Mayam Premno, Pradhurbhavet Krama. There is step by step process. So that the first, by hearing, especially the hearing is the topmost and important, because Shabda Brahma. How did this creation happen? The Big Bang theory, they say. Many times the scientists and so-called scientists. So that Big Bang is actually, even in that way also, you can understand it is sound. Big Bang means it is sound. So that sound is actually when the creation happened, this is through sound vibration. That is why sound is very important. When we sleep also, what is the one function which works? Hearing, the sound. As soon as we hear loud sound, then we wake up suddenly. So everything is otherwise, other senses won't work that much. So that's the sound vibration is very important. Shabda Brahman. So that is coming from the mouth of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Even Brahma, when he has to create, he himself had received this transcendental knowledge from the, that is why it is called Apaurusheya. This Vedic knowledge is to be heard from disciplic succession in a bona fide sampradaya. So that's why it is mentioned sadhakana mayam prema. It is mentioned, another verse also is there. Satam prasangat mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana. As it is mentioned, hrit, heart, hridaya, same thing. Hrit karna rasayana. Jas ajoshanad apavarga vartamani shraddha bhakti ratir anukramishyati. Step by step. Initially is faith. If you don't have faith, there is no progress. Whatever, even the study also, business also. If you don't have faith, if you don't put your mind and energy, then you can't do any business. Neither you can do study, whether it's whatever, bachelor's, master's, PhD. Maybe you will pass with minimal exam, minimum marks or whatever, but not much of a, it's not going to help. So here also same thing. Satam prasangat mama virya samvido. So the glories of the Supreme Lord hearing among the association of devotees. Then the devotee means one who understands, at least theoretically accepts the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, Lord Krishna, and his all his energies. He understands the absolute truth, and he understands his position and his relationship, at least theoretically. Practically, he may not be at the highest level, but at least theoretically accept. Not that, because there are many on the name of devotees, on the name of Vaishnavas, they don't accept, they read Bhagavad Gita, but they can deviate from Krishna. So Krishna is clearly giving instructions, about 700 plus verses. It's clearly telling to surrender unto him, offering obeisance to him, worship him, become my devotee. Is clearly telling Manmana Bhava Madbhakta 2 times in 9th chapter and 18th chapter. Again and again he is telling in different ways. But still they say no, Krishna and Krishna's within is different, or the impersonal aspect, the absolute truth is nothing but no form, nirakar form, or everybody is God, or anything and everything you can worship, everything goes to the same, it's all same. So then, so that these are the, but Krishna is not giving those conclusions. So how can somebody can come up with these conclusions? So that's why we have to follow. That's why we have to hear satam prasangat mama virya samhito. So it is clear. Then Ajoshanad apavarga vartamani. Apavarga is this papa baba ma, which is nothing but parishrama, working hard. Then we get fame while sleeping. Then naturally we have fear of losing things, fear of many things, and then naturally bhaya, the mrityu. So this is called pavarga. We will transfer from pavarga to apavarga vartamani. By having the faith, by having hearing. Shraddha, starting with Shraddha, then Rati, Bhakti, Anukramisasi. So the devotion will gradually increase from Shraddha to Rati. Spontaneous attraction, spontaneous attachment to Lord Krishna and his devotees, and serving naturally. So because wherever there is attachment and love and affection is there, naturally our service is there. That's why we serve family, friends, community, nation. So because the natural attachment, affection is there, that we serve. Without service, there is no one in this world not doing service. He is serving somebody, another person, whoever that is. So that's why it is very important here. When sadhakana mayam premno pradhur bhavet krama, then adav shraddha tata sadhu sango tata bhajana kriya tata anarda nivurtisya tata nishta tata ruchi tata asakti tata prema abhudanchati. In this way, develop the love of God, Krishna prema, highest stage. In this verse, Krishna is talking about, especially Sukadeva Goswami is talking to Parikshit Maharaj, and Sudha Goswami is speaking to here, Saunaka and other rishis, in the response to the 6 questions asked in first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, questions by the sages. 6 questions. Now the response is giving. How? One from 14th verse. That's why you see that. Now let's understand how this knot. Exactly what is the knot? Granthi. What exactly is the knot? Knot is nothing but is explained. Shastra is explaining. The knot is like a rope. So when you take one rope, 3 modes of material nature is actually knot. And there is a combination, permutation and combination is there. Mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. 3 into 3, 9. 9 into 9 again, 81. And then there are so many types of living entities multiplied, then it becomes 8.4 million species, which are categorized in some are in mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, some are in mixed, different percentages. In this way, these 3 modes of material nature, 3 ropes, goodness, passion, ignorance, huge thick ropes are tied to, Hare Krishna. Thick ropes are tied, so that way it is very strong, piercing the heart. So the heart is tied with these knots. So suppose the example is, and you put on mute, otherwise I'll put on mute. 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, good. Thank you. So the knot is explained, as I mentioned, rope, 3 ropes. You have a normal regular rope, but in India generally we use for taking the water from the well, or for huge things. Even the trucks, big trucks, they carry the load. They are tied with huge ropes or huge chains, very thick and strong. So like that, not one rope, 3 ropes together tied. When a person is tied with this rope, how anybody can help, how we can come out? When somebody, like we are tied with, somebody has tied us with the 3 heavy ropes together, mixed, turned, 3 modes of material, these 3 ropes, that is the knot here it is talking about. And when we are tied like that, who can help? How will we be able to come out? Somebody else has to help. Okay, we can do it. When, if somebody gives a small scissor, can we do it? No. It's not ordinary rope. Even one rope you can't even cut a little bit also, because these are very thick ropes, huge, and like this 3 of them. So together, and it's you can't even. It is like Vasudev and Devaki are in the prison house with huge shackles. You can't come out by your own. So that is what here the knot is mentioned. We'll go into detail what that is further. So in this way, one who is tied up with these three kind of ropes, heavy ropes, either you need a sword, you need a knife. If you have a big, huge knife, a sharp-edged knife, so that's how it starts in the 15th verse of this chapter. It is talking about that only first. Yad anudhyasina yukta karma grandhi nibandhanam. So karma grandhi started with fruitive activities. Those are the one of the knot is fruitive activities. So that is the knot. When you have to cut, if you have a strong knife, huge knife, sharp knife, then you will be able to cut yourself. You can release yourself. But most of the time, this is not self by self. It is not possible. When whoever is tying you, they will not give you the sword. So that sword is nothing but here the devotional service. And you need somebody to cut. Somebody as a friend or somebody has to cut these big ropes. Somebody has to release you when somebody is tied you up. So we see in Bhagavatam and other Puranas also these stories, even when Devayani was thrown into the dark, deep well without water. Then Ayati had come there in the forest hunting. Then he himself had to throw a rope and then pull her out. Nobody can even see. It's so dark and well, no water, so deep. So, but somehow or the other he could find and then he gave the rope like that. So it's very deep unless somebody else has to help. Just like the when we have a disease or when we have even a regular one also, we get stitches. Who will remove the stitches? We don't remove the stitches. The surgeon will remove the stitches. So you need a surgeon, you need a doctor, you need a pure devotee of the Lord who can remove these knots. What kind of knots? Shastra is explaining. Pumsam striyam itunubavam etat tayor hridaya gandhi mahu adat grahakshetra sutapta vitte janasya mohoim maham mameti. So starting the living entity, starting with the family attachment, especially male and female attraction. Actually, that is what is the biggest, huge knot. Actual knot. Finally, it concludes with actual ego. The real ego. Living entity has a gross body. Gross body contains this earth, water, fire, air, ether, five pancha mahabhuta, and also it contains the senses. Gross body has the senses. This karmendriyas, jnanendriyas. Yesterday we were talking about it. Which we knowledge acquiring senses and then the working senses. These are under gross body, but there is subtle bodies also which is considered mind, intelligence, false ego. The ego, false ego is the biggest problem. Who is in charge of these? And above that is the consciousness. That is nothing but soul is the consciousness. Above soul is the super soul. So the representation has been mentioned. Vasudeva represents consciousness. Krsna represents ego. That's why it is gravitational force. Whatever we say, that is all coming from Krsna, who is the expansion of Lord Balaram. So Vasudeva is consciousness, Balaram is ego, Vasudeva Pradyumna is for intelligence, Aniruddha is for mind. They are in charge, personalities of the Lord. Lord Krishna's expanded into Balaram, Balaram expanded into so Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, first quadruple. And then from there, again, Sankarsana expands into Lord Narayan. From there, second quadruple, Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. The second quadruple is the rest of the Vaikuntha. The first quadruple is in the Golok Vrindavan planet. The second quadruple is in the rest of the Vaikuntha planets. So this is what they represent. The biggest knot is having this false ego, not the real ego. The real ego means we are identifying with Krishna. We are servant of Krishna. Jivya Swarupa Nityara Krishna. So that is real ego. But as soon as we misidentify, we use wrongly, make choice to use of free will, wrong. Krishna Bahirmuga, Jiva Bhoga Vanchakare. As soon as we turn our face away by false ego, that means we are trying to enjoy separately from the Lord. Krishna is talking about that Icha Dvesha Samuttayana Dvanda Mohena Bharata. Icha and Dvesha, that Dvesha is the enviousness and the desire to enjoy, so that is nothing but this false ego, which is having a desire. Why Krishna has to let me enjoy separately from him, let me become a master, let me also become like him and enjoy, try to. But that is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. So that's why this material world is there for that purpose. So he can do whatever he likes to become like that, trying to enjoy. But he will be in this chain of fruitive activities. So there are so many knots, fruitive activities. There's a karma, ordinary activity, pious and impious. Living entities are enjoying, trying to enjoy it through different ways, using the senses, using this mind, through speculation, then above these fruitive activities, some are interested in mystic perfections. As soon as somebody shows some magic or some gymnastics, then people are interested and immediately they follow that direction. Vyayam is good, exercise is good, but that is not the actual perfection of life. That is not the goal of life. That helps yes body to be regulated and maintained, be healthy. But that's not the end. That is only external covering. What will happen to the subtle body? So when we leave this body, what is happening? So why we are suffering? So that's what Shastra is telling. Labdhva sudurlabhamidam bahusambhavanti. Dabiham artadam anityam apiha loke. Turnam yateta yavat. So hurry up. It is very difficult, very rare. After many, many lifetimes, we have received this human birth, very rare to get. Hurry up and take up devotion service. That is the only way you can perfect. There is no other way to perfect. Come out of these knots. Only way is to, that is clearly given in the exact verses. I will read that. Nice examples are there in our life compared to now. So that's why we have to understand the fruitive activities and then these mystic perfections, this kind of yoga, different kinds of hatha yoga, dhyana yoga, kriya yoga, vihanga yoga, you name it. Today's world, so many types of yoga. Every day, every year, so many people are coming up with their different yogas, different yoga societies. So all these are coming under the same category of different kinds of knots, having this attachment to that. This is all in all. Let me try to perfect. That is it. So perfecting in that yoga is the best, is the topmost, but that doesn't remove so our actual knots in the heart. And then you have real knot in the heart is this false ego. So and then you have next is the impersonal liberation. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi. Vishesha means variety. Nirvishesha means no variety. People are trying to merge, become God, merge into Brahmana Palyan. This is the so Nirvishesha, no variety. Actual no variety is there in that. Or they want to become Sunyavadi, like a Buddhist. They try to become zero. Means after this life there is nothing, no soul. So because the Buddha had to preach at some point. At that level, they are not at the highest level. So he had given certain process at least so that they can move to the next level. So for them, so that in this way there are different kind of knots in the heart. The last snare is also liberation, merging into Brahma Jyoti, also merging into the body of the Lord. That is those yogis, those who are meditating on this Paramatma, super soul. Super soul is only in this material world. Super soul is not there in the spiritual world. Super soul is there even in demigods, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Brahma, all of them. All the demigods have super soul. Super soul is the one who is guiding. So Krishna is talking about that in 7th chapter, also in 21st verse. I am the one who is giving, strengthening their faith, the living entities who are approaching demigods, and I am the one who is granting those through those demigods. I am the one granting. Unless the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna doesn't sanction, nobody, even demigods cannot give. So they sanction it through the permission of the super soul. So that super soul is only there. It is also called Kshirodasika Sai Vishnu. Three Purusha Avatar. Third one is called Kshirodasika Sai Vishnu. Kshiro ocean, milky ocean, they say. So that is there in the within this universe. We can't see. But Lord say, even Brahma cannot even approach directly. Brahma stays at the ocean, shore of the ocean, and chants Purusha Sukta prayers to approach, to call out to the Lord when there is a problem in this universe. Then the Lord sends a message in the heart. He is in the middle of the ocean, Milky Ocean, within this universe, Kshirodaka Ocean. He is called Kshirodasika Sai Vishnu, third Purusha Avatar. He is the super soul also. So in this way we understand now. So where it is explained here, Pumsa, the first knot. These are the various knots, as I mentioned, fruitive activities, karma, and then you have yoga, different kinds of yoga, different kinds of, then you have this Mayavada philosophy, merging, so liberation, mukti, impersonal liberation, or liberation to merge into Brahman effulgence, liberation to merging into the body of the Lord through yoga, All these are different siddhis, mystic perfections. All these are different kinds of knots, various knots. So all these must be cut because of three modes of material. These are all popping up. So we must have a very expert surgeon. Even for open heart surgery, you have to go to the actual expert, very expert heart, especially regular ones. You go to somebody, but on the same way for this process also to remove these knots in the heart, you need very expert. So the pure devotee of the Lord, the spiritual master, we have to approach. That is the only way we can cut these knots. And as it is explained here, Lord Narada Muni is explaining, Brahma is explaining to Narada Muni. Narada Muni is Brahma is explaining how we can cut these knots by who is the authority, who is the in charge for the false ego, why we are enjoying. The biggest problem is false ego. We are trying to enjoy because we are covered with false ego now. So who is the authority in charge of the ego? Sankarshan. That is Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda Prabhu. By praying to him, by hearing his glories. So it is clearly mentioning in this verse of, where is that? 5th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 25th chapter, verse number 8. So where it is mentioned, Ya Yesha Anusruto Jayamano Mumukshunam Anadikala Karma Vasana Gratitam Andamayan Hridaya Grantitam, Hridaya Gratitam Sattva Rajastamo Mayam, Sattva, we are discussing. Antar Hridayam Gata Asu Nirbinna Tasya Anubhavam Bhagavan Swayam Bhuvo Narada Saha Tumbura Sabayam Brahmana Samsto Karyam Asa. It's where it's mentioned, if a person who are very serious about being liberated life, hearing, then they must hear the glories of Ananta Deva from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession. And if they always meditate upon Lord Sankarshan, the Lord enters the cores of their hearts, vanquish all the dirty contamination of material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly since time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities. Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadev in his father's assembly, which is Brahma. There he sings blissfully verses of his own composition, accompanied by his instrument Veena. So, as it is mentioned, Prabhupada explained that this contamination, these knots in the heart, is like a huge accumulation pile of a garbage created by the three modes of material, especially passion and ignorance, lust and greed. So we can understand how it is explained here. So that's why we stress again and again, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, by praying, by meditating, by hearing his glories, we can get out of this false ego and transform into real ego. We don't need to renounce anything, rather transformation we have to do. The activity is material life. We don't stop any activity. We don't renounce job, renounce family, renounce anything actually. Rather, our consciousness changes, our transfer of activities, transfer of our thoughts, our feeling, willing, acting, desires, everything gets purified by sincerely praying, taking shelter of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and his representative. The spiritual master actually is the representative Lord Balaram. So, it mentioned Balahinasya. When they Balahinasya means the one who is not spiritually, if they want to spiritually strong, then they must take this Bala is coming from the Balaram. Spiritual strength is coming from Lord Balaram. Anantadev is nothing but yesterday we were discussing the silk ropes which were given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to carry Lord Jagannath for Jagannath Radhayatra from Lord Jagannath from within the temple of Jagannath Puri to outside. They need silk ropes to carry Lord Jagannath, and obviously so many devotees there to carry. And so the silk ropes are brought. The silk ropes are considered as Lord Anantadev brought by Satyaraj Khan and Gunaraj Khan and family from Kulina Gram. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given that particular service to them. By the mercy of pure devotee Haridas Thakur, they received mercy, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the service because of that pure devotee, as it is mentioned here. So you can't understand the glories of Anantadev or Lord Sankarsana, Lord Nityananda. You cannot get his mercy through. Even Raghunath Das Goswami, we see, how did he get mercy? In the beginning, very early stage, he received also Haridas Thakur, and also later on Raghunath to Raghav Pandit. So then, and other devotees, then Lord Nityananda Prabhu was merciful, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his mercy, then he was able to transform himself, otherwise he was captivated by these. Now, in another place, as it is further explained, as it is explained, Narada Muni is explaining to Prachina Barhi. A wonderful example is being given. So, my dear king, you are searching. It is like the living entity, the jiva is compared, the family and everything, the way he engages in activities compared with a deer. Deer is nicely going into the nice flower garden trying to eat grass, but he's not understanding that, and then he's nicely hearing, he's enjoying the music of these bumblebees going from one flower to another flower, and he's not seeing, realizing the tiger is right there, about to approach him, and then hunter is on the back, also trying to shoot an arrow. He's not realizing. So that is compared here. Narada Muni is explaining to Prachina Barhi, how do we come out from this whirlpool of material world, this knots in the heart, Hridaya Granthi. So that has been explained here. The jiva is compared to a deer. The flower garden is compared to a mist of family. And wife is considered the beautiful flower. And then the bumblebee is considered as talk of children, around family members. So we all know that. We all went through that. Whatever they speak, whatever they do, whatever they touch, especially when they are very small, how much we get attracted by that. There is nothing wrong in that, but it's what consciousness you absorb it in. That is what is very important. Prabhupada also played with kids. Prabhupada was very fond of kids. Kids also used to go. So Prabhupada used to give them cookies, and Prabhupada used to talk. Prabhupada gave sometimes money also to them, to grandsons, disciples, daughters and sons. So very loving and affectionate way. There is nothing, it is not that sannyasi not supposed to, they are very opposite or averse to serve kids or averse to kids. No, it is not. Actually, those who are pure devotees, they are loving every living entity. So as it is mentioned, the jiva is compared to a deer entering into flower garden, is compared to a mist of family. And then the wife is considered a flower within that, and the bumblebee is considered a talk of children, and the tiger is considered as a factor of time. Time is crucial, and nobody knows what happens to it, whom and what age and the influence or whatnot. Nothing is considered in favor of time. Nobody can go beyond time. We all know, especially in COVID situation, we can see that clearly. It's crystal clear, rather. So factor of time. And then the fruitive activities compared to the hunter's arrows. Three modes of material nature, different kinds of arrows here. So when he's releasing, we are being pierced, as it is mentioned. The heart is getting pierced with different kinds of arrows. As we are watching, as we are using our eyes, your tongue, your nose, or skin, all these five Jnanendriyas especially, we are getting these arrows, different kinds, attracted by this passion and ignorance, especially. So that is compared to the hunter's arrow. So from backside, we are getting these three modes of interaction, and then on the front, we are about at any time, anything can happen, especially the death, the time factor. In times of tiger swallowing, eating the deer. Deer is not realizing. But he just nicely, there are so many deers, especially we are in New Jersey. We regularly see, especially in the winter more, summer also, where it is rainy or early morning, evening, so it comes. So that's what is, especially they are very much interested, very much are captivated by music, deers, captivated by again the mating also. So many factors are there. So that has been compared as here, just like the living entities are also attracted by various Aham Ata Gruhakshetra Sudha, starting with the union, mating. So, Pumsa Sriyam Mitunu Bhavam Etad, Hridaya Granthi Mahur, that is the biggest Hridaya Granthi. So, and then starting with that, then you have this Suta Apta Vittaya, the home, then your family, the kids, extended family, and then it goes on and on. That is all the various kinds of knots. Other than these, yes, that is combining with these fruitive activities. You have liberation, you have various, but mainly the fruitive activities are coming under this karma kanda. So that is all coming under the fruitive activities. Not so much about the liberation or the yoga, so but the more on the karma aspect. And then another, so that's why Kapila Muni is also explaining to Mother Devahuti in the same aspect how we can, and the fundamentals of material nature. When Kardam Muni, her husband left, she was crying like anything. Kardam Muni said, don't cry. You will have your son, he is going to instruct you how to come out. I didn't use properly my time, but she was very religious. She served her husband like anything, but she is thinking that I was attached too much attachment. I didn't engage in the devotion service seriously, take shelter of you and serve the Lord fullest extent. I was attracted by other material energy. So then Kapila, his own son, began the Supreme Lord has appeared. He gave the instruction. The first verse itself is telling we have to take up hearing the transcendental knowledge. It is mentioned as Gnanam Nishreyasa Ardhaya. Nishreya means, Sreya means eternal benefit. Praya means temporary benefit. We are always looking for temporary benefit. Where is the temporary enjoyment? Immediate happiness, immediate money. Anything I want, anything immediate. Right away we want enjoyment. But here, if you want real permanent enjoyment, then we must seek jnanam. What kind of jnanam? Not ordinary material knowledge. It is a spiritual, scientific knowledge, absolute truth. Purushasya Atma Darshanam. Atma Darshanam, as it is mentioned here. Drushta eva Atmanisware. One can see himself. That means his coverings are gone. He is not seeing gross body. He is not seeing subtle body. He is seeing his own spirit, soul, his own identity. What form he has. Is he a tree? Is he a cow? Is he a dog? Is he a plant? Is he a creeper? Is he a whatever, different, a human being, man or woman, what form he is in the spiritual world, and what rasa he is in. Shanta rasa, neutrality, or dasya rasa, or sakya rasa, or vatsalya rasa, or madhur rasa, or hasya rasa, or bivatsa, bhayanaka. Five primary and five principal rasas, and the other seven secondary rasas, gauna rasa they call. So what rasa, what form, what exchanges, what mellows we have with the Lord, all this will be revealed. Drusta evatmanisware. Seeing means not just seeing in front of the mirror ourselves. That is gross body we are seeing. But that's not actually the here. Use drusta evatmanisware means we are seeing in relation with the Supreme Lord, Super Soul, actual real self we are seeing. Then further it is meant, Yad ahur varnaya tatte, by hearing, hridaya granthi vedam, cuts. As soon as we start hearing, so that he explains everything, how the creation has happened. So how these three modes of Mahatattva to Pradhan, unmanifested state to manifested state, when living entity want to enjoy, how these 26 elements compared as Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, I was explaining, your mind, intelligence, pulse, ego. So in these sense objects, because each of these Jnanendriyas has these five sense objects, the form, the touch, the hearing, so all this sound. So all these are 5 into 5, 10. You have the 5 karmas, 15. You have there itself, mind in the false ego. You have 18 there. So time factor, 19 there. And then Pancha Mahabhuta, forget 24 there. So in this way, 24 to 26 elements. These are all. These explaining how in mode of goodness what has appeared, in mode of passion what has appeared from Mahatattva, from Pradhan, how the mind has transformed, how the ego, as false ego has come, how the intelligence come, what are its characters. What does it do? What are its functions? So all these are explained. Then he is telling, by understanding all these, how these are functioning, then we know exactly what is causing, what is reality, what is not reality. So who we are really, are we this body, are we the mind, are we the intelligence, are we the policy, or are we the real self, soul? And what is our relationship, what is our duty? So that's why he's explaining all this in this chapter. Beginning he is telling this. By hearing, understanding this whole subject matter of fundamentals of material nature. That's why even Bhagavad Gita also, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not going in detail because it's half an hour, 45 minutes is discourse. So he cannot give so much detail. but he has given high level details. That's why the last 6 chapters, what is Krishna is talking about, the same thing. This is Hridaya Granthi, but a very high level. Is detachment, internal detachment. That's why it's called Gnana Yoga. The last 6 chapters predominantly talking about. That's why Krishna is talking about divine and demoniac natures. That's why Krishna is talking about how to perform austerity on 3 modes of material nature, how to perform charity in 3 modes of material, how to perform sacrifice in 3 modes, how to eat in 3 modes of material nature, how to operate ourselves on a daily basis. All Krishna is talking, because so that by understanding that how we can be detached, how we can regulate and be detached. 3 modes of the whole chapter Krishna is talking about. And then he's talking about how this material world is compared with the reverse banyan tree. At the bank of the river, we see the tree is upside down, and that material world is compared like that. So then he's comparing that whole thing, senses, sense object, everything is comparing that. So Purushottam Prapti Yoga, 15th chapter. So and that's why the main idea is from 13th chapter onwards to 18, 17 especially, to develop detachment. It's more of he's giving the gnana to become detached. So the same thing now in Canto 3, Srimad Bhagavatam is more detailedly explained. The another example, so many examples on the same aspect of removing the knots in the heart. Then we understand, we think it is a story. But actually this is the reality. That's why it is again and again they are talking about. It is compared now, the material world is compared like a forest fire. Forest. When living entity is trying to go to forest, what happens? So this is Narada Muni is talking to King Prachi and Bari. This is in Canto 5, chapter 14. Material world is the greatest forest. Material world is the greatest forest of enjoyment. So how it is affects the living entity. The merchant, generally business people, nowadays very less. Who is going forest? Those days, at least 50 years ago, people used to go. So that's what is compared here. He's talking about. Merchant is going to forest to get many things in the forest and then to sell in the city. So what that is, when you go to forest, what will be there? Obviously, you have rogues and thieves while going to forest. These are compared with senses. So you can be attracted by with senses and sense objects. And these are compared with rogues and thieves. Then you have family members, wife and children. They're compared with ferocious animals, jackals and foxes and others. Attracted or taken apart, or taking your energy. So many different ways. As long as again this we have to understand on the concept of actual consciousness and the underlying principle. The essence must be understood. We shouldn't understand that why Shastra is telling to talking about like this about the family, and rather it is doing activity, engaging in the family, serving them and all, with understanding actual behind the scene, the understanding essence, which means they are also servant of Krishna, they are also part and parcel of Krishna. Understanding we are the spirit soul, understanding that with the Krishna conscious way gradually, then that's all right. Then we don't need to renounce anything, rather we can stay in the same family life and then develop, fully become Krishna perfect our life. And we have acharyas, many of them are grahasthas in the Mahajanas, 12 Mahajanas Prahlad Maharaj is giving. In that also you see many of them are grahasthas. Including Prahlad Maharaj is grahastha. Very few of them, Narada Muni and Lord Shiva, no, not Lord Shiva, Narada Muni and few others are there, brahmacharis. But rest everybody is Mahajanas. Lord Shiva is Mahajana, Swayambhu Muni Mahajana, Brahma, you see. Oh, yeah, Sukadeva Goswami, he is brahmachari. Vyasdev is grahastha. So all they are Mahajana. How? Because they know exactly what is the purpose, they know exactly what it means, how to conduct, how to be engaged with the family, how to behave, how to run, how to serve them, all this with what consciousness, the absorption, that is important. That point yesterday we mentioned, that excessive attachment, that point, exact point is mentioned here in one of the verses. So the merchant, as we are discussing, the rogues and thieves, then in the forest of material life, you will also see everyone is envious. So it is compared like mosquitoes, always trying to bite. They exactly know the junctions of your, the hand junctions where they bite to grab more. As you give the injection, where they will give, they will not give anywhere and everywhere the injection. Exactly, they have to give the place where they can easily extract the blood. Mosquito also know. How will they know? Because for each and every living entity, what kind of consciousness he has, That because of that absorption, he is getting that form in their life. That's why they became mosquito. So that they become envious to biting, because that's all it can do. Because past karma vasana, it has transformed into mosquito. The rats, mice create disturbances. So these are like the as we envious people we deal with in this material life. That is compared. And then the tax exacting by the government, that is compared with owls and crickets, unbearable sounds. And then the government officials are compared with carnivorous rakshasas in the forest. Now, the path of fruitive actions compared with mountains, you can never cross big mountains. We try to cross. We haven't gone to Himalayas. We haven't gone to big. So it's very difficult to cross. Go to mountains and cross. Imagine that's how it is. Path of fruitive activities is crossing the mountains. We can never become successful. And the sleep is compared with python. Python always, and then so the time factor is compared with the serpent. When we go to forest, we see all these things, and how this we are trying to enjoy in this material world is compared with forest. But what kind of all these various aspects of how it is compared in our life? This time factor, the sleep, the ignorance. Then you have what is that? Monkeys are compared with this materialistic idea, especially the union. So and then having this very much fickle-minded. So that's compared with monkeys. In this way, Narada Muni explaining, come out of this. Don't think that this is the permanent. This is not the end of it. This is not. This is temporary. What you are seeing. So you understand these dangers and realize it and come out of it. That's what he's telling to Prachina Barhi. Because he has been explained before by some other spiritual masters. Fruitive activities is the main thing in life. You can enjoy, you can perform pious activities, you can perform impious activities. Then he asked Narada Muni, but what you are instructing is a little bit different from the other spiritual master, what I heard. But now my doubts are removed, because Narada Muni explaining with each and every example. These are there in 3-4 times, not one time. That is Srimad Bhagavatam, you can understand the seriousness of being in the material life, what it means, why they are giving these many examples for the same issue. So that we understand. So and again, one more time, Krishna himself is giving an Uddhav Gita, a similar example. He is comparing. There are many, but because of the time, already 8:54, comparing with sun. Just like the sun is evaporating the water and returning the water. So always. But we are thinking, the sun is also, but we should avoid like that. Just like the sun is evaporating the water and returning the water, we should also avoid the entanglement. We are taking things, we are taking the possessions, we are taking various things, even though we might be working, but everything belongs to Krishna. Then how we utilize it, with what consciousness we use it. We should, then we will not be entangled. But if we don't utilize it, then we are taking it, but we are not returning it where it belongs. It belongs to Krishna. Same way, sun is taking it, but is returning it. But so that is the lesson. The Avaduta Brahman is explaining 24 gurus. One of them is sun. Is seeing the sun and is understanding this is the essence. Avoid entanglement while coming in touch with sense objects. That's what we have to learn. Sun is also looking at, and it never gets contaminated. Even though filthy things, it dries up, but it never gets same way. Even though when we are in touch with sense objects, various things we may see, like Ajamala has seen, many other we go through in life, we cannot avoid it. As we are working, as we are going outside, so we are not staying home, then we have to deal with each and every so many. That's why we have to be very careful. Unless we receive the knowledge regularly, unless we associate with devotees, unless we serve the deity. And that is also one whole chapter Krishna is explaining to Uddhava about the deity worship. How one must purify himself morning and evening. And Prabhupada is explaining even before getting up at 4 and taking bath and attending Mangalarati and chanting and serving, performing various service, all that. But that's for us it's completely out of question for us. But you can understand it's a serious thing, but it's a slowly and gradually we can do to some extent, but gradually Krishna will reveal and Krishna will arrange things. But it takes time, it requires practice. So that's what is been explained. Sun is compared. Sun also does, it also divides. Sun gives reflection. Sun gets reflected in various objects depending on what objects it is getting in touch. Sun reflects, but sun doesn't get divided. Even though sun seems to get divided when it is reflected in various objects, but sun is actually is not divided. So that is compared with, as it is mentioned here, how different modes and perceptions. So the senses, mind, and intelligence, false ego. We are the reflection. Sun actually we are the actual soul, but soul is never getting. Actually, soul is the original real thing. But we are not this body. We are not the subtle body either. Gross body, not the subtle body. We are the spirit soul. Same way, just like the sun is not actually getting changed. Sun is getting reflected because it is going to different. It is touching with different objects. Through that reflection is coming. Same way, and the senses are in touch with sense objects. We have to with right consciousness, with this right regulations, then we will not be get consumed by that attraction, by that attachment, and get bogged down by that. Rather, will not be captivated by that allurement. Rather, we will be protected by the Lord's mercy, protected by Lord's pure devotee, by Lord Nityananda. So that's what is been explained comparing with sun. And the next example is given is pigeon. Pigeon is too much affection. The male pigeon and female, excessive attachment. Yeah, in this verse, Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, it is mentioned excessive attachment, unrestricted. Avirodha yukta priti and virodha yukta krodha. Avirodha yukta priti is leading to virodha yukta krodha. Excessive over attachment. That they are used. Ati sneha, prasanga. Prasanga means unwanted association. And Ati Sneham is overly affection on the bodily. There in the purport clearly it is mentioned. One who is engaging with family or friends or anybody on the platform of the body, gross body, on the platform of the subtle body, trying to enjoy, operating on that level, then that is the cause of fruitive activity, that is the cause of creating the knots in the heart. But when somebody is operating on the spiritual level, on the consciousness of the soul, spirit soul, with that understanding, then trying to give the same consciousness to others with the love and affection, then that is actually, it is not, it is a regulated attachment. Even though it is attachment, affection is there, but it is regulated. It doesn't affect us. As we discussed, same thing is pointed out from pigeon. Pigeon was on the material, unrestricted attachment. Pigeon was very much attached, male and female, as we see. More and more here in New Jersey, you can see many places we can see how they are attached, male and female attached. And then they get same exact example is also given by Hiranyakashipu through Yamaraj in 7th canto, chapter 2 also. Same example is given. King Swegna and then Kulingana birds, how they are captivated by the hunter. So in this case, in pigeon's case, the child birds, they both go, male and female go for getting food. They get captivated by the hunter, and then they both, this male pigeon and female pigeon also. First, female pigeon gets trapped by seeing their kids, and then it goes into the hunter's net, and then male also by lamenting. You mentioned what is used? Santapam, great distress, great anxiety. This happens to us also. We are not aloof from it unless we operate at the higher platform. We also get great distress. As we go through this in the COVID situation, especially, it's more and more severe and strong. So only this can help. So elevate. So in this way, we can see this Hridaya Granthi is how these various activities, forest of material enjoyment, through these various examples, we can see how it is actually creating big shackles in our life. Especially the heart is being pierced, heart is created with these various knots. You can't even cut it, nobody can, even neither friends nor family members, like Gajendra's case we can see. So many examples. Nobody can help. Shukracharya himself, he could have done it. Nobody, we think that my friends can help. If I have a scissor, if I have a big sharp knife, we can cut it. That is ordinary. In the material world, yes, you can cut maybe these thick ropes, you can have a big sharp knife and cut it. But this is, first of all, those at least you can see it. Here we can't even say. We don't even realize that half of the time, 90% of the time, we don't even realize that we are attached to sense and sense object. We are allured, we are having the knots. That itself is the biggest problem. To come to that understanding itself, we have a knots. what kind of knots. That knowledge itself is missing. After having that, then acting on that platform, trying to rectify the situation, trying to follow, trying to regulate itself is another step, next step. So that's why it cannot be possible, which is invisible. You can't see mind into the false ego. You can't see the heart, and the knots are there in this level, subtle body. Not in gross body is also there. At least you can maybe to some extent you can clear those in the anardas when we go through. That's why this is Adho Siddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Tata Bhajana Kriya. After, before, first of all, coming to Krishna consciousness, coming to approach Krishna, there is one first layer of anardas. That is the first. After that, then the second layer of anartha is getting cleared when you are before surrendering. That's why sometimes people go through different kinds of these things, different difficulties. Some, not everybody, few goes through, because otherwise they can't even come to the surrender. Because for them, they have to go through. Then only they realize what is actually, what is reality, what is not reality. That is their own sinful activity they are facing. But Krishna uses that to bring them to right consciousness. So that is the second level of anarthas. The third level is after initiation, which is a longer period. So depending on how serious we are, that is anartha nivritti stage after bhajana kriya. Then nishta and ruchi and asakti and bhava, and then Krishna prema. That's why in the last verse we are talking about bhava, asakti and bhava, ecstatic symptoms, liberation stage actually, above goodness. But it is not the end. Because even in the bhava stage, when we are not guided by spiritual master, even at that time, you can be captivated, like Bharat Maharaj, we see, he was captivated by a deer, even at the stage of bhava, asakti and bhava. So, because there is a still slight anarthas, because liberated stage means you can merge into Brahman effulgence, you can still have a tendency to be attached. So unless we come to that, fully come to that Krishna prema, and we are always guided, even in the spiritual world, everybody is guided. So every living entity is guided. All, whatever you see in this material, everything is there, but everything has a consciousness. In material world, it is unconscious. Like if you ask a mango tree, can you give me a coconut water? It gives? No, it cannot give. So, but in spiritual world, you ask any, whether it's a tree or plant or a man or a woman, doesn't matter. Any living entity, all 8.4, everyone is there, but not with the material gross body, not with the subtle body. Everybody has a spiritual body, everybody has spiritual consciousness, everybody has a particular relation, rasa, with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, are different personalities, Lord Vishnu's, Lord Krishna's incarnation, different, whether it's different rasas, different genus, different planets within the spiritual world. So then it can give the Surabhi cows, like you can ask touchstone, it is compared. So anything you ask, he will give, because it is spiritual, everything is spiritual, everything is available. But here in the material world, it is not like that. So because there's all these trees, plants, everything, they are not fully conscious. Their consciousness is very covered. They have consciousness, but it's very dull. There are different koshas. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, annamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, and anandamaya kosha. They are at the first kosha. Then some living entities are at the next level. That's why there is a gradual progress. Prabhupada is explaining for this verse also in some place. How depending on their attraction and attachment, they are going through different forms. Unless they are covered, then you are coming from reptiles and insects. Naturally, then they get some of them to the within that grade, within that insect, some of them has wings, small wings. Then naturally, in the next life, they become birds, small bird with the small wings. Then they become, there is almost like a big eagles, huge birds. They can fly all the way very high in the sky, but they can see, they can pick up a big elephant. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. We don't know, but we think this is mythology, a story. But this is reality, which we haven't seen, then we don't believe it. But these are explained in the Sabda of Brahma through oral deception. These are all given, transcendental knowledge. Because we haven't seen, we are in the earthly planet, we haven't seen down planet, we haven't seen upper planet, we don't know anything. We are in the, just like the frog in the well, we are thinking what we see is what we believe. But we have to understand this science very carefully, how this evolution of the living entity is happening. Then the birds, then gradually these different types of birds, then it transforms into different animals gradually. So different types of animals. Then gradually, then beasts, then the human being. They are also aborigines, uncultured, uncivilized, then coming to civilized. Within that civilized also you have different grades. So the human beings are 400,000. So in this way, depending on the fruitive activities, their attachment and aversions, they are gradually through going through evolutions, life after life. But if they receive a mercy from a pure devotee, if they receive prasad, if they eat any animal, even when you are offering a rose or any flower to a Supreme Lord, then they get human birth immediately. Depending on the mercy, then sometimes they may get transformed directly also to the higher beings, even higher than the earthly planet living entities. But at least they get human birth. Shastra is clearly giving. Anything offered, you can understand what power it has. By simply offering a flower to the Supreme Lord, that plant can become a human being in the next birth. You can understand. So the potency of getting in touch with the Supreme Lord. Nothing goes by nothing. What do you call it? So nothing gets wasted. Anything in touch with the Supreme Lord, as we see in Lord Ramachandra's story, the rat jumped, tried to by somehow or the other, it went and jumped on the flame of the flame within the temple next to the deities. Then by just doing that activity, the flame is about to go, then it jumped and then it came up. So by just doing that activity, it was also got purified. So that's Krishna sees. So even if with the bad intent, at least he's trying to do some activity, so which is purifying, which is spiritual, then naturally they get the benefit doing knowingly or unknowingly, both ways, as we discussed yesterday. Prahlad Maharaj in the previous life, he was going with prostitute, quarreling, and then unknowingly fasting and nursing. Then he became a great devotee in that. So that's knowingly or unknowingly anybody does, he gets the effect, he gets the result. So that's what I think. This Hridaya Granthi is very, very important to understand. We have discussed Anardas at different levels before also. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that Tattva Vibram, erroneous understanding and the weakness of the heart. I didn't go through that because that is at verse number Nasta Prayesh Abhadreshu verse. We discussed those Anardas and we discussed also from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, where Krishna killed so many demons. Each demon represents different anarthas. That also we discussed. But this is at highest level, knots in the heart. You have to understand at this level and then how to remove it. His only way is by Lord Nityananda Prabhu and pure devotees' mercy, and depend on the mercy, taking shelter gradually, slowly, step by step. Follow it. Lord Shiva is instructing the same thing to the Prachinabhar, his sons, Prachetas. Lord Shiva has given instruction. He himself told, I am meditating on Lord Sankarshan, and he beautifully offers beautiful prayers. Rudra Gita in Srimad Bhagavatam is clearly telling how he is completely meditating on this Lord Sankarshan, Lord Balaram, so form. So then he instructed them. He gave the prayers. Namo Namo Aniruddhaya Sankar. Rishi Keshendriya. Those prayers are coming from that Rudra Gita only. So we can understand. So everybody is talking the same thing. Brahma is talking the same thing. Lakshmi Devi is talking the same thing. All these four sampradayas actually talking about the same thing. But there are three different kinds of Puranas. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. There is a different level of understanding is being given. Like in mode of ignorance, Tamasic Puranas, 18 Puranas are divided in this way. Because they cannot, one who is in mode of ignorance, what they can understand, if they have been given these many gods are there, is this, is in charge of it, they first of all, they are in ignorance, what they can understand. That's why for them it has been given. You worship Lord Shiva is the ultimate and highest and topmost. There is nobody, everybody is under him. That's what is been explained. But if you go to the mode of goodness Puranas, Padma Puran, himself, Lord Shiva himself is telling, Vaishnava, topmost to Parvati Devi is telling, Parvati Devi is the one who, through her, we see Lord Jagannath, Lord Krishna appearing as Lord Jagannath Puri. He wants to give the mercy. First prasadam is going to Vimala Devi, and then only it is going out to everybody, Mahaprasad. So how powerful Mahaprasad, Jagannath Mahaprasad especially. And so all this we can see through all these acharyas. We are in a Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Brahma is teaching the same thing. Rudras, Lord Shiva is teaching. Rudra Sampradaya is there, where they worship the Lord in Balagopal in a small baby form. Vallabha Vishnu Swami through Vallabhacharya it is coming. But he is teaching the same thing, worshipping Lord. He is there in the pastimes of in Vrindavan. Every temple is protected by Lord Shiva. Different names are there for Lord Shiva. So in Vrindavan, most of the temples everywhere, Lord Jagan, main temples Everywhere Lord Shiva is there. Without his mercy, we cannot even understand, we cannot even enter. Otherwise, we'll create offenses. So that's how you can see Lord, always Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, Lakshmi Deva, they are all engaged in different ways, serving the Lord, engaging souls, bringing souls from different levels. Lord Brahma is in charge for passion. So Rajasic Pran, more inclined, more talking about Lord Brahma, and Tamasic Pran, talking about those are ghosts and hobgoblins and that kind of level mode of ignorance. For them, Lord Shiva is the topmost and highest. So in that way, but by taking that as the highest principle, then that's not going to help. For them, that is good at least. So that way, at least they are worshipping. They get the mercy. Slowly, gradually, they come to passion and goodness, and then slowly they can progress. Because Lord Shiva is the most Asutosh and very quickly gives, then slowly in that way at least they come at some point after some lifetimes. So in this way it is being given. But this understanding must be there. So how these Puranas are divided, how these three modes, what they are in charge, but they are not under those modes. We shouldn't think that Lord Shiva is under the mode of ignorance and neither Lord Brahma is under the mode of passion. They are just the in charge. They are not covered. They are also serving the Lord and they go back also most of the times, majority of the times, as for Lord Brahma, other demigod, Lord Shiva's position is unique. He is in the Vaikuntha Loka. He is not Jiva Tattva. He is not the Lord Vishnu. He is in between. Brahma is Jiva Tattva. He is the highest living entity in this material as Jiva Tattva. But he also goes back after his lifetime, 100 years is over, then he goes back to Vaikuntha most of the time. In few occasions, there could be again coming back into material world, but most of the majority of the time, because they are operating at that highest level. So in this way, all the demigods are all serving in that way. So we should follow these Brahma Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gaudi Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, Ramanujacharya from Lakshmi Devi. Then four Kumaras who are the sons of Brahma. They are all teaching. They are also there, and four Kumaras are also worshipping Lord Krishna. Also, Bharata Sampradaya it is called. And that is also the same thing, worshipping Lord Krishna. Lakshmi Devi is also teaching the same thing. So Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna is the source of Lord Narayan. That is explained in 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We see in past time with Arjuna and Krishna taking Arjuna to Lord Narayan, because Lord Narayan wants to see Lord Krishna personally. So he brings them. So then he sees Lord Krishna. We see so many Ekadasi, Mahatma also we see. Then praying, Lord Narayan takes her to Lord Krishna. So many pastimes are there. So unless we understand and go through, it's very difficult. We come to conclusions. What is their each position? We have to understand. Everything is been given by Rupa Goswami, who is in charge of, who is our principal authority. So is one of the six Goswamis. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. So we are called Rupa and Ugas. So he has given elaborately explaining every aspect of this absolute truth, all the energies of the Supreme Lord, every aspect of it, what is position of each and every. And his nephew Jiva Goswami is explained also more elaborately in Sandarbhas. And Prabhupada has given all that essence in his books through Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. By reading these three books, then we can perfect our life, we can get all the essence of all other books into these three books. Okay, we'll stop here. Any questions? Any questions on the phone? Any questions on the phone, Prabhus? Hare Krishna. Okay, any questions on the Google Meet?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My question is like how you were saying, our senses are always when we see sense objects, the senses are attracted to the sense object. So how can the what I understand from your class today is like only association can help us. Is there anything else apart from association which can help us to keep our senses in check so that we can use our senses only in service of Krishna? So
As we discussed yesterday also, the chanting the holy name of the Lord, more we chant, better it
nothing
is. It's a
association.
gradual progress, that is the first thing. Then it is mentioned as the Vaishnava Seva, it is serving the devotees, all devotees. but prominent more and more to the pure devotee, especially the spiritual master, serving physically, serving his Vani, means following his instruction is like that, and reading Prabhupada books, and serving the deity. So even the pictures are at the temple, whatever is possible. So with that much, and then sincere prayers to taking shelter of the Lord Nityananda Prabhu. In this way, we can come out of it. But more and more we engage in service, that helps. Senses are generally more subdued by engaging in physical service. So by touching the Lord, by physical service to the devotees, cleaning and various whatever services we can do. Through that service, we get realization also, because we are getting purified by activity. Because our soul's uh, main thing is always active. Soul is not dull. Neither our senses are dull, nor our intelligence, nor our mind, always running. But when you are engaged in service, then just like when you are cooking, when you are doing busy in some service, you don't think about anything else. If it is important, you like that service, then you are not thinking about anything else. You are so captivated and absorbed in that particular important things, which you like, which you want to do. Same way, so that's why it is very important when we are engaged in the Lord's service, then it helps. The senses are very much absorbed. Then more gradually, when we try to do that, that can be done even at home. If the temple is not possible because of the current situation, it can be done, try to do at home. More and more we are engaged in some kind of service to the Lord and devotees, to the spiritual master in various ways. You can, so many different services, especially my spiritual master is always giving. Yeah, Prabhupada has given me these many instructions. Who wants to take what service? He is ready. He has given so many services. Who wants to take like that? So Prabhupada is always giving so many different services. So whatever within our capacity, depending on our family situation and everything, our personal situation, job situations, we can accordingly we can engage. Hopefully, I think things are going to open up soon. So accordingly, we can engage even direct physical service at the temple, whether it's cleaning or cooking or making garlands, making paraphernalia. Always, this is absorption. And just like anything, it absorption is there. When you go to grocery shop, you are not really thinking more. Always think about what can I offer today to Radha Shamsundar, what can I offer, what can I offer to Prabhu, what he likes, what is fresh. This is the consciousness must be always behind the scene. Yes, family needs, so everybody needs what my son likes, what that is always there. But more you focus on when you go to grocery, when you go to flower shop, when you go to jewelry, when you go for shopping, everywhere, because we buy for Radha Shamsundar Gaurita, always jewelry, different bangles, different things. So with that absorption when we have, then naturally wherever we go, otherwise everywhere we see different living and different jivas, different thoughts and impressions, then we get captivated, sense and but with that focus in mind, how will that focus will come? More we hear, more in that association, more we are reading regularly, then automatically that consciousness will be there always. So then using the clicker or something, always chanting also while going, while doing different things. And that way, our more and more consciousness will be purified. With that focus, we go everywhere. We take Krishna with us, holy name with us. In that way, it helps us to be really sense and sense object. Nothing will drag us. It takes time. It's not easy. Prabhupada told it took 20 years to perfect my life. He's speaking in humility. Pure devotee Lord appeared to deliver us, but we have to understand from that instruction that it takes time. He's telling us basically, if we are very serious, 15-20 years at least it will take. So then gradually Anardas will reach from Anarda Murti to Nishta, Ruchi and Asakti, and very serious like Narada Muni. Then we can come to the perfection. It is not impossible. It is not impossible. It is possible, but to the degree how much surrender we are, how much we want to follow, to that degree it will allow us. But we must always try to do service somehow or the other. Whatever service we can do, transcriptions, we can do so many things, various paraphernalia, painting, whatnot, so many different. We can come up with different devotees are doing so many different ways. Somebody is helping TOVP, somebody is helping Prabhupada in different ways. So we can think, depending on our desire, depending on our experience, our proclivities and talent, accordingly we must engage. That is the way senses get subdued, because we get also nourishment, we get also that what you call fulfillment. We are very content and happy by, oh, I did this nice service to the Lord and devotees. So then naturally we are very much, senses are not so distracting us. Otherwise, if we are not happy, blissful, then automatically we are being distracted, this or that, something or the other. This will happen. If we are in family, there is nobody can tell us that very peaceful, nobody is quarreling, nobody is arguing, everybody is following instructions, all the dependents. Where can you find? We are not in 100 years ago, we are not in that world. In today's world, nobody is perfect. We all go through that in family life, especially in Grahastashram. So then, how do you subdue that? So only way you can subdue, you can balance, you can really be always blissful no matter what's going on, is by following this process, always be engaged in the service, trying to distribute, giving Krishna to others, compassionate, forgiving, loving, and caring. So these aspects, these symptoms we develop, then naturally nothing will actually bother. So because we don't take any of that seriously, because that is not the end. In this life, in the for that moment that is happening, next life that is not there. That is not the end goal either. So we don't need to get agitated about it. We don't need to think too much about it. So Parikshit Maharaj himself, we didn't think about it too much. Because he thought, okay, whatever reaction let may come, whatever Stungi, I have done a bad activity, irreligious activity, I throw a dead snake on stage. That is an offensive activity. So I should get reaction immediately. I should face reactions. He didn't ask for, oh Lord, I am the, you saved me while being born. So let me, please save me this time also. Rather, Parikshit Maharaj didn't ask for that, because he knows exactly, he is in the right consciousness, he is in regulated, even though for that time it seemingly he is in the not in the right consciousness when he did that activity. But that's the Lord's arrangement. Vidura also felt in that way. We can see there are these great devotees are teaching us by their example. Because they followed this regulated life, they're always serving. Parikshit Maharaj always serving, the Brahmanas always serving, perfect king he was. Vidura also is always serving. He was always helping Pandavas, always. Even though he was not there personally, but he was always helping. What is being done, whether everybody is doing right thing for them. So they're not being put into trouble unnecessarily. So Vidura is always watching. So he's very balanced. He gave the same instruction to everybody, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana also. But they didn't take it rightly, in the right context, in the right consciousness. They take it in a false ego. So it's up to them how they take. So that's why the spiritual master also talks, gives instruction, gives his lectures. But who takes what instruction, how serious they are, the receptivity. Just like these Pandavas, they are very receptive. That's why Vidura and them, Vidura could see it, but Vidura's instruction, they took it positive way. Always. Pandavas always took positive way. But we also see that they had some quarrel, they are always they had some argument. Family life means that is there. You can't avoid it. But if you are regulated in this way, being connected with Krishna and devotees, serving Brahmanas like Pandavas did, then when they will not ask it, oh, this is just by the providence of time, I have done some sinful activity here and there. That reaction is coming. So then you move on. That is not the end of it. You just move on. So that way, so senses, sense objects, attachment will not actually bother us. Otherwise, yes, sometimes some living entities, some jivas, for them from past karma, it comes that they will think too much about the past. Oh, this happened, that happened. If I do that again, that will happen. So then they can't even make any progress. They can't take up the activity. They can't do the service. So I can't take this service, Prabhu. So they think. So because that thing, they have to come out of that comfort zone, fear. So more they chant, more they associate, more they take shelter of pure devotees, serve them directly or indirectly. Then it will help them to come out of that kind of fear and comfort zone. So otherwise, there is no possibility. We have to give up those tendencies somehow or the other. So I hope that answers it. It was elaborate, but so that's what I've been.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your time and wonderful instructions as always. Very grateful to you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Anybody else has question? Otherwise, we'll stop here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One question from my side is that so you mentioned that Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava, and
Yes.
usually tamasic people they are worshipping Lord Shiva.
Yes.
So my question here is that let's suppose if tamasic people, by the grace of Lord Shiva, they know about Krishna consciousness and they started worshipping Krishna consciousness. So should they like completely stop worshipping Lord Shiva and worshipping Lord Krishna?
So no. So Shastra is teaching us. We also worship, but we understanding the, like I at my home when we purchased this home, they gave me Nataraj, Lord Shiva in Nataraj form. Then we
Mhm.
worship. Yeah, even all the temples we worship. Actually, in Mayapur also we worship Lord Shiva, but it is not prominently seen on the altar or something. But definitely we take shelter of Lord Shiva. We worship Him. We offer actually every day when we offer. At least I offer, and many senior devotees, acharyas offer. And we are offering just like Lord Jagannath Puri, they offer. First prasad is going to Vimala Devi, who is wife of Lord Shiva. So same way we offer Lord Krishna whatever we offer first, then Mahaprasad is being offered because that's what Lord Shiva wanted. He was arguing, he is asking Narada Muni, where is my, you got Narayan Prasad, where is my Prasad? So that's how Lord Jagannath appeared that pastime. Lord Shiva got it, he was jumping up and down, Tandavam. Then Durga, she didn't get it because he didn't get, he took it in a blissful state, he finished it. But she didn't get. Then she started doing penance, and then Lord Narayan appeared, and then okay, all right, don't worry. I'll give to everybody. I appear as Lord Jagannath and give Mahaprasad to everybody. No discrimination, nothing. Everybody gets. So in that way we see, and then yes, those who are that's why actually Lord Shiva is guiding many. Even not everybody is at the like ghosts or pisachas are at the lowest level, ignorance. There are living entities who are at the mode of passion and goodness also. Some of them, especially mode of passion, they worship Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva directs them. Even other demigods also, many of them, especially Lord Shiva, directs them in a right way to this higher process. Depending on their, if they are in that consciousness mode, they are praying sincerely that show me the right path, show me the highest, show me the best way how to understand, how to perfect my life. Then obviously Lord Shiva will show. But if they want, let me come out of this problem in this at this time, then yes, we'll keep solving those problems. It will go on. So they, according to the degree of their surrender, degree of their desire, what they want, then accordingly Lord Shiva is directing them. Even the demigods are also directing. Even Lord Ganesha is getting, where is he getting? Is he getting the mercy? Is getting the his actual energy and everything? He is removing the obstacles. Ganesha is called. Where is he getting? It is Shastra is explaining. Lord Narsingadev, through Lord Narsingadev, Lord Ganesha is getting this powers to Vigna Vinasaka. Actually, it is coming from Vigna Vinasaka Narsingadev to Vigna Vinasaka Ganesha also. So that's how Lord Ganesha. Lord Ganesha is the one who has written actually Vyasdev. He helped Vyasdev. He told whatever you shouldn't stop while I am writing. He also told you shouldn't stop writing. Then he also told you shouldn't stop speaking. So in that way, all this written by Ganesha also. So that's why we have to understand their positions. All the demigod position we have to clearly understand who is who and what is their position. Then we don't stop. We don't stop actually. We bow down. We see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself is showing by the example that he went to Sri Sailam. He went to many other places. Lord Shiva and other, even Kartikeya temple also. I forget the places. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains. So Mahaprabhu is showing by the example. They are representative of the Lord, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. They are also performing certain tasks, certain jobs. So in that way, we should offer because we have to respect their position. They are doing higher service than us. So they are higher than us. They have higher consciousness than us. So we must offer. And so it is not that we shouldn't be offensive to them, but at the same time, we shouldn't make them think that you are Vishnu, you are the topmost, you are the highest. Then that means that's an offense. That is an offense. Not understanding the position and glorifying them to the topmost, then that's an offense also. They also will not like it. So, as one example, you see that is dacoits trying to kill this, not Rasuludev, but Bharat Maharaj appeared Jada Bharata, second life. First time deer, then next Brahmana became Jada Bharata. That time He was there standing like a in a field. We see some people, we put something so that these birds and all doesn't come. Same way Bharat Maharaj also standing like that. Then they found, oh, he looks like a strong and heavy person. Let him take. We'll offer to Kali. So they tried to take him and offer to Kali. Then Kali appeared because he is a great devotee. He was in the Bhava Bhakti. He was completely dedicated to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Then Kali became really upset. What are you doing? You are offering a devotee of my Lord. Then immediately she appeared with her weapons, and then she chopped off their heads. So sometimes, yes, when we are too much offensive in that way, then Lord also will not like. It's a different demigod. They also will not like because they know. So that's how we have to understand. It's not because I know in India there is certain category of people have this tendency that there are two different groups or the tension, those things are there, but it is not the actual bona fide Vaishnava. Means we accept all the demigods and we understand their position, we offer our respects and obeisance to them. We pray especially to Lord Shiva also, so that we develop attachment to Lord Krishna. We serve the Lord Krishna like how he is serving Lord Sankarshan, Lord Balaram. So we also serve, we get, because he is doing that job, thankless job. When Lord wants to create, he is helping Lord in creation. Lord Vishnu is expanding himself into Lord Shiva. So as milk transformed into yogurt. So that has been explained. That's why he is not Jiva Tattva. At the same time, he is not the Ishvara, he is in between. So that's why he is called Yogishwara. Y-O-G-I. Yogi Ishvara. Out of all yogis, you name it in this whole world, if Vishwamitra, whatever, the topmost, nobody can beat or beyond, go beyond Lord Shiva. But the original creator of this whole actual system of yoga is Yogeshwara, who is Lord Krishna. He is called Yogeshwara. That is Sarvakarana Karanam. So mentioned as Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is the original, and from him all the expansions are coming. So that's how we have to understand. It's a gradual progress. Slowly we understand things in right perspective. So and then worship accordingly, give respects accordingly. Shastra is telling actually we have to respect each and every living entity. We shouldn't create problem for any living entity. We shouldn't disrespect any living entity. That is one of the 64 instructions Prabhupada Goswami is giving in Nectar of Devotion. But who knows these instructions? And even if they know, who follows? So we are always trying to point out defects, pointing out, criticizing, trying to find faults, trying to always giving pain to others. This is the mentality living entity has. So, but hopefully, gradually will come out of these tendencies and mentalities. But it takes time. It takes time. I hope that answered the question, Prabhu, or further.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one more thing that when we are talking about the glories of Harinam, there is a scene that is mentioned there. If somebody is worshipping demigods with Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna,
Yeah,
they're basically they are following, they are creating a sin for themselves. They are not like they in the Harinam
correct.
Mahima. So uh, I'm not talking about the demigods, but what if somebody is only worshipping Lord Shiva, and with the Lord Shiva they are also worshipping Lord Vishnu? Then, uh, is it a sin for the Harinam or
Basically, see, till they unknowingly they do something, some extent they may get something, but they are not be implicated by so much. But once they know, just like the once we know chanting the holy name shouldn't be done for different benefits. That's why the 10 offenses are there. In that also it is mentioned. Thinking Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva to be same as Lord Vishnu or independent of Lord Vishnu. Both are problem. Both are actual offense, 10 offenses. But one who is just coming up to chant the holy name, he doesn't know any of this. So it's all right for them. So then, once he knows, then you shouldn't do the same thing. You shouldn't do, okay, I'll chant because then I'll get good job. I'll chant because I am going to get my kids will get a good job or good education or this. That is Yes, initially you may have those desires. You can pray separate to the Lord for those, but that shouldn't be the reason why we should chant. So in this way, we have to understand. So in yes, Harinam Chintamani and other books about the glories of the holy name. So different things might have said, but people can worship Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna. But it is once they know, they should position the deities in that way in the altar also. Because I know I've seen many devotees also. They have everybody, all deities are there. There are no proper hierarchy, nothing. Just they are there. They don't know where they are going. They don't know how what they are worshipping, how they are doing. Actually, what is the goal? They don't know their positions clearly. Too much confusion within their mind. That's how that represents in the way they worship. But Shastra is clearly giving the guidance. So generally, you should always keep. If you have Radha Krishna, they should be there higher level, or at the same level as Lord Vishnu. It's okay. But otherwise, and then if you have demigod, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, or others, then you have to keep at least next level. You shouldn't keep even the spiritual master also. You should be at the lower level. You shouldn't keep the spiritual master at the same level as the Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. That's not appropriate. So that we have to understand and correct. But many they don't pay attention. It takes time to follow the process itself. It's a great difficulty coming to this process. And after that, also it takes time to know these principles, essence behind why we need to do certain things in certain way. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Even worshipping deity also, at least worship deity, that itself is a big thing to do. Then after, once we are going into that, then there is a step, another step. You have to do Achman, two Achman. There is a first level of Achman, which is 10 things. And then the second level Achman, which is more subtle. Then you do Gayatri, Guru, and all those one by one personality. There is a sequence of Gayatri. Then you approach the deity, starting with earth, starting with offering prayers to Bell. Then you worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Panchata. Then you worship Lord Radha and Krishna. It's not directly worshipping. Through so many, you are purifying your gross body, subtle body, and your mind meditating on the through Guru and Parampara and Panchatattva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, then you are getting into all that. In this way, we are getting prepared our consciousness. That's why before the festival, there is Adivas ceremony. It is underlying fact is to prepare our consciousness, offering everything on the Adivas day, whatever we are going to use it in next day, festival day. The idea behind is preparing our consciousness, our mind, our everything, all the senses, so that on the next day, actual day, we do in a right way, in a right intention, with the right desire, with right consciousness, and then automatically will be more and more actually be absorbed and attain perfection slowly and gradually if you follow. But it's a step by step for everything, each and every aspect, whether it's Sankirtan or holy name, deity worship, everything. There is a step by step. There is so many levels to go deep within it. Even holy name also. It's not just chanting. There's different 3 levels of chanting is also there. But it's a gradual progress. We can't talk so deep in general context. So once we come to that level, then if a person asks, then we go little bit deeper, going that where Harinam Chintamani and other books are explaining in detail. Chaitanya Charitamrita also explains these 3 kinds of. Haridas Thakur is explaining. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking how living entities can be delivered, how the Mlechas, Yavanas, lower living entities can be delivered. And Haridas Thakur, don't worry, my Lord is giving the assurance how the holy name, even if they chant indirectly, haram, haram, Muslims, even they get the benefit. So he's giving quotations from Shastra and he's explaining. So in this way, Chaitanya Charitamrita explains every detail of it, every angle of vision, all angles of vision, with a practical examples through different personalities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us how to perfect our life, how to deal. He dealt with every one of them, Mayavadis, impersonalists, Buddhists. He dealt with all of them, demigod worship. He dealt with all of them. He converted. Actual South India is very much into worship of the Lord, and the Vaishnava process of worshipping God is more and more, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually is the one 500 years ago. He has given that mercy to South India more and more. He traveled. He spent more time. He gave instructions a lot, even in so many different places, especially in Andhra and other places also, Tamil Nadu. in South India very much. That's why we see very much lot of more and more religion and process of taking process of religion is more and more high percentage in especially in South. Obviously in Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh, Vrindavan, Mayapur, those areas are also there. But these places also they are prominent because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given these mercy and instructions. So that's why still we see more and more this worship of the Lord and following some kind of process.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. We'll stop here.